Alright, so we're heading into Goodwill to see what we can find for vintage goodies. Hopefully they have lots of good things today, so we'll see you in there. You don't want to see him? Is he scary? I'm gonna go this way? Okay. So the first thing I'm doing at this point is looking for the Halloween. Of course I want to find the vintage Halloween, which is very hard to come by, but I did kind of glance around with my baby. I had him with me and he was on one hip, the camera on the other hand, so we took a glance here. He really had fun pointing out all the items and telling me what everything was. The next place I checked out is the artwork area. I'm always looking for cross-stitch items and crewel pieces especially, or very beautiful paintings. I love paintings, so those are usually my go-to when I'm sifting through these items for. I really enjoy anything that's kind of unique, colorful, I just really appreciate artwork, so this is one of my favorite areas to check out. If you are subscribed to my channel, you know I'm always trying to adopt the blue-billed goose, and I was excited to see a Christmas goose there on a kind of trivet, so that was kind of a fun find. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing right now. Go ahead and hit that red button. I'd love to have you part of the nesting family. I found this really awesome owl macrame piece here. It'd be nice for a wall decor item for this fall season especially. They had some more 1970s themed wall decor here with these florals that are in wonderful fall colors as well. Very groovy. What is your favorite slang word from your generation? I know I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so it was like cool and rad and awesome was pretty typical, pretty standard, but I always thought the word groovy was pretty fun. Now I'm all about unique items, and I thought this ceramic wall decor piece was pretty different. I'm not quite sure what they were supposed to represent. It did have a chip on the heel, so I did set it back down, but if it didn't have a chip, I was considering picking that up. Then we have this owl chalkware piece here. Yeah, those are always fun to pick up as well. I found these most adorable deer on the top shelf. They are spotted. I love the spotted deer especially. I was holding my son so I couldn't grab them to show you guys, but they were super cool. If you want to see them up close, there's probably a good chance I picked them up, so stay tuned for the haul video tomorrow. Now this clock is not a vintage clock. Initially looking at it, I thought it might have been just because it was so unique looking, but it is a more modern piece, and I don't know, what do you guys think about it? Would you have picked that up? I have been picking milk glass up more frequently because I've been coming across more unique items such as this vase here. This is a style I have not seen before, and I thought it was very unique, so anytime it's a different piece other than your typical standard ones that you see all the time, I do tend to pick them up. They have this really nice large fruit bowl on the bottom as well. The grapes and leaves pattern isn't everyone's favorite. Let me know below if you guys that like milk glass tend to pick up the grapes and leaves, or if that is a pattern you tend to skip. I really like when my Goodwill color codes things on their end caps. It's something I've tried in my antique booth on occasion, and I just kind of like how it draws the eye in. I think it's a really good marketing tool, so if you do have an antique booth or some type of shop, it works for me definitely. I like to be, you know, if you have a certain favorite color, I'm definitely drawn to green, so I always enjoy this kind of setup. So I went to my favorite color to my least favorite color, which is pink. Although I do really love vintage pink, and these pink depression glasses were really adorable. I wish they were the watermelon style that had the green on the bottom and the pink tops. Those are my favorite. I love the watermelon depression glass. And the watermelon ones do tend to be worth quite a bit more. I found one bowl of butterfly gold coral. They were asking $3 for it. I thought that was a little pricey. It should have been more like $1. This is a vintage Avon Ruby Red Cape Cod platter. This actually had some scratches on it, so I did not take it. I think they had $5 priced on it. I have seen no sold on them, but they are listed for around $40 on eBay currently. There's a few of them. If you find the ruby red glass of the Avon, they do sell for pretty decent, so if they're in good condition, I would suggest picking them up. I think they'll do fairly well. For example, a cake stand sells for about $30 to $35, so not a bad profit if you could pick it up for cheap. I wanted to get that salt and pepper shaker set so bad, but there was that huge crack on the bottom. I've been picking up several pieces of that same style, piecing it together, a full set, and I thought I'd have something there, but unfortunately I had to put that back. I only have $5 on this entire set of the mushroom cups and sugars, but there was only $5 on it because they were a little bit damaged, and of course the sugar was missing the top on it. They were still kind of cool even though they weren't Sears and Roebuck Mary Mushroom. I thought this plate here was pretty nice. I liked the style to it, the scalloped edging, and it had a really beautiful kind of Victorian design around each corner. Ginger jars are something that I see in waves. I don't always pick them up because they haven't been the best sellers for me. And I'd be curious, so let me know in the comments below if you guys like to use ginger jars or just like to decorate with them, and if you think I should still pick them up. I have sold a couple. I sold one on Etsy. I've sold a couple in my booth, but it seems like something I don't sell very much of, so oftentimes I pass them up. I was excited when I saw this sugar and creamer or condiment server here because it had these spoons included. Often you don't see these spoons in them, but that particular one is put out by Houston Harvest and they only sell for about $10, so it wasn't that exciting after all, even though I thought it was a really nice pattern. I feel like cake stands are one of those things I rarely ever pass up because you can use them for so many things. I really like to use them by the kitchen and bathroom sink to store soaps on. I use them in the booth for displays and such. And of course you can use them for food. I thought this one here with the kind of scallop seashell looking finish was very unique. And of course there's another cake stand there in a kind of silver tone. Do you have any unique ways that you use cake stands? I'd be interested to know. There's always so many beautiful one-off plates in my thrift store. I always feel bad leaving so many behind, but it's very hard just to sell one plate, and personally you can only put so many on a hutch or a wall for decor. So underneath that plate I saw this beautiful platter that I was kind of interested in. It's actually a vintage J&G Meakin Blue Nordic Classic English Ironstone platter, and the last one that sold on eBay only sold for $3 plus $11 shipping, so it wasn't going to be a whole lot of profit. They were asking $5 for that, and I believe there was even a chip on the bottom, so that definitely was not worth picking up, even though it was quite gorgeous. We have now made it down to the blue shelf, and usually the blue shelf has lots of nautical themed items, as you would expect. I thought this vase up here was very interesting. I liked the kind of unique look to the spout of it, and I really enjoyed that the colors kind of ombreed off into each other. I've been coming across a lot of owl things lately. Unfortunately, this one here, though super cute, had a cracked head, and I obviously was not going to pick it up with that. I always really enjoy these hand-painted floral molds, and this one was really gorgeous, I thought, with the black background and kind of the metallic floral painting. I just never seen it in this style before. Usually they're white background and colorful, so that was kind of unique. I thought those looked really nice and quite fancy, really. I found this vintage Santa shaker over in the aisle where it's normally not, so I took it and put it in the cart on chance that I might find its match in the Christmas aisle. I tell you what, I'm always looking for off-season holidays during this time. Easter, I always try to keep that in mind as a reseller, because when those holidays come up, that stuff flies off the shelf and usually people just hoard it. It's not really available as much as it is in the off-season when people just don't want to store it. So it's always nice to pick it up. It looks like someone was getting rid of their carousel collection. There was a couple there, a little lopsided though. I found the most darling, prettiest little jar on this shelf. It has this gorgeous floral top to it. What do you guys think originally came in that? I'm not even sure what I personally use it for. I think it'd be good in a crafting room probably to store needles or maybe some safety pins or something like that. This is one of the guys that was left over from that night. I saw all those really cute hand-painted ceramic pieces. I don't like mice is the problem, but I keep being drawn to that. I pick it up every time I go when it's still there, and I think it's super cute. I love watermelon, but I don't like mice, so I just can't pull the plug yet. I always have such a hard time leaving vintage Japan knickknacks behind. This little cow was just too adorable. What do you guys think? Would you have grabbed them? I went ahead and picked this up because I knew there'd be someone that said, why didn't you pick up the capodimonte? I just know they're always chipped. You never seem to be able to pick these up without something being chipped on it, some petal. So sure enough, it was chipped and I set it back down. I would love to have come across them not chipped, but it just never seems to happen. I think one of my favorite things about seeing fall decor is that it always has my favorite football team's colors, so I thought these mugs naturally were really cool. And the space here I thought was really ornate and beautiful as well. Now these here are something I've never seen before, but I was very intrigued by them. They were very unique looking. So I looked into them a little bit, and what they are Nile Crystotherm glasses. A set of 6 sells for about 20 bucks, so they're not really that sought after, I guess. And those ones that I'm talking about were colorful ones. They're all multicolored, so where these were black, I haven't seen any listings on those, so I wasn't quite sure if it would have been worth my while to pick up, but I did think they were pretty unique and pretty cool. I super love vintage strawberry items. I was kind of hoping this would be a Hazel Atlas jam jar. It looked a little bit too new to me, but I wanted to double check, and of course it was modern. I found these depression glass candlesticks in pink. I thought these were kind of pretty. I know the pink is very popular. A lot of people like to collect that, and pink is kind of hard to find, so that was kind of interesting that I saw that there. And this is kind of a carnival glass bowl I found. I thought it was very pretty as well. I was excited when I saw this because it's something I haven't seen in a while. My mother used to have something very similar to this. I think it was a little boy and girl sitting in the same knickknack. And it's a vintage gem pan piece, so I guess that makes sense. It was something that was hers. So that was kind of interesting to come across. I haven't ever happened upon them before. There was a random Easter piece in this aisle, and there was just something about the way the duck was that made it look a little bit more special to me. And sure enough, when I turned it over, it was vintage Lefton. So I was happy that I did decide to go ahead and look at it. You guys know I have a thing for birds, and I so wanted to get this piece, but it was pretty rough. The whole opening, as you can see, was pretty chipped up all the way through and around, so I did not take it with me. It just didn't seem practical. I always love it when I'm able to find something that Goodwill does not know is vintage, because if they knew it was vintage, they would have put a higher price than $1 on this. This is a Hazel Atlas shot glass. That is a measuring barware piece, and I just thought it was absolutely fabulous. It has really funny sayings on it. I can't wait to show you guys that in the haul. So if you guys do want to see the haul, make sure that you are subscribed so you can check that out tomorrow. I always love checking out the glassware section. The clear glassware is a bit hard to look through, but I find some gems, such as these beautiful rose glasses here. Initially, I thought there was only going to be 1 or 2 of them, but then I walked down a little further and there were other ones there as well, so that was a cool find there. I did end up picking those up. You guys will see that in the haul video. I found this vintage New Hampshire state souvenir glass in this beautiful green. It actually features the man in the mountain on the front. And sadly, you cannot see that anymore when you go visit because it has since falling off the side of the mountain. I saw it when I was little because New Hampshire is only a state over from me. We live in Maine, and it's about a 4-hour drive to get out of the state, so yeah, it takes forever to go anywhere. New Hampshire is about as far as we were able to ever go. So this was definitely my best find. This is a mid-century piece. Most people wouldn't know that. It's not labeled or anything. Goodwill obviously did not know that. It was only marked $2, so stay tuned for my haul. Once again, you guys, I was very happy to find that. It's worth a decent amount. I found all these bird music boxes back there, and I was excited at first, but then as I started pulling them out, I found chips on them. You can see the wing was missing on that. And there was chips on the beak and stuff. I really loved that yellow one, but it was chipped, unfortunately, so I had to leave it behind. I did end up getting one of these, however, and you guys will see that in the haul. So high up on the top shelf, I spied these green depression glass sugar and creamer set. Now, it was missing the cover, as most of them usually are, and unfortunately, you can see that enormous crack in the sugar bowl. So that was unfortunate. I was staring at it for a little bit because I really liked it, and I was trying to justify buying it, but ultimately, you can't really buy something like that, right? So I went back and I was like, well, I'll at least get the creamer, and sure enough, there's a big chip in the front of that as well. They still had $3 a piece on them, which was kind of crazy. This was, of course, chipped as well, very adorable, and I've never seen this before, this little Peapod girl. It's part of a whole collection, and it was only asking $1, so I was going to get it. And sure enough, this was chipped as well. I was not having very much luck at this point. My luck started to turn around when I headed over to the Christmas aisle. I found Santa's Mrs. Claus. So I got a match. I was excited that she was there. There was a complete set. It was very surprising. I wasn't expecting that. Another surprise in the Christmas aisle was this set of 4 Holt-Howard Christmas glasses. I know, once again, Goodwill had no idea what these were because they're not labeled, so they wouldn't know what to go by. But those are Holt-Howard and a 4-piece set for $2. I couldn't believe it. They had another blue shelf actually, and I found this really cool tissue holder, this handmade lighthouse one. I thought it was really cool, and it was nice that it came with tissues in it, I guess. How do you guys feel about that? Would you change out the tissues, or do you think they're okay to use? On the bottom shelf, I saw this really cute floral box, and I was getting a little closer to see if it might have been hand painted, but it's from Christmas Tree Shop. Womp womp. Christmas Tree Shop actually has a lot of cute items, so it makes sense. I would like that. I've never seen this piece here before. It was a little bit broken, but it was very cool, and I was very tempted to pick it up. I've never seen it, so I did look up comps just to see, and they make okay profit, but mine here is broken, so I ultimately decided to leave it behind. The next shelf down, I found a vintage trivet, one of those cast iron metal ones, and I'm interested to know, what do you guys use to re-glue these tiles? Almost every time these tiles are loose, but they are always the coolest ones that I find that are loose. So I'm not sure if it's some kind of a cement glue you would use. I gotta figure it out because I have a lot that I've picked up and I need to fix them. I always like to glance at the basket area because I am working on a basket wall, especially looking for the vintage colorful trivets, the woven kind of raffia papered ones. This guy here is another one I'm continuing to be drawn to. I just can't justify buying it. It's just so large, but I love how the big eyes are. They remind me of the vintage Japan pieces, so I always kind of am tempted to get it, but I still haven't pulled the plug on that one yet either. I saw a vintage Pyrex See in Store container down here. I was excited. It was a good size, but unfortunately the lid was cracked. It was unfortunate because most of the See in Store containers I have are this Spice of Life patterned, so it was kind of sad to put it back, honestly. I started walking back towards the cash register to check out, and they had been putting out new items, so this is something I hadn't seen on the shelf before. It's a vintage Gumball Machine, and they only were asking $2 for it. It's a little bit rough, but it still looked like it was in working condition. The glass was pretty okay, and those work really nicely to put marbles in or different things you collect. You don't have to use it for gumballs anymore. People just like to use them for display, so it's pretty cool to put in for the antique booth. My husband came across this German plate here. It's a pretty heavy silver. They're asking $8 for it. Normally that's too pricey for me to pick up in a thrift store, but I think it's really cute when he picks out items. So make sure you are subscribed so you can catch the haul video of everything I purchased today in tomorrow's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please hit the like on your way out if you did, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye!